Okay.
And that's what happened. And
from my experience, it's 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But
2 weeks.
do you always see them cutting their hair short, or do you see them just letting it fall out in bunches?
Usually they go and get it cut.
Because that has to just be the one of the first, painful realizations that it's really happening. Yeah. You have to go in and actually cut your hair. Which
many people will call us before that happens, and they'll ask for a cap.
So you do see that happen.
I'm going to go in and get my head shaved, next week. Could you please send me a cap?
Now, when my wife had to have her hair all cut off, we decided to make an event out of it, and we went to the salon.
Make it a party. That's
well,
right.
let me ask you this. How often in your adult life do you get to see what you'll look like in a mohawk?
No way.
They cut her hair into a mohawk. She had a big spike.
So she could actually
Oh, it was great. I got pictures.
Oh, that's fun.
And then, after the mohawk, and they did the same with me, actually, because I had my hair cut the first time that she had chemo, and I had a mohawk too. Of course, I didn't have as long hair to start with, so it wasn't as good a mohawk as hers. But it was fun. It kind of made the whole thing okay.
You could actually go into 3 stages. You can, start with one here, one here, one here, and then get rid of the ones here.
That's right.
And kind of do those over a few weeks, just to have
take pictures
fun with
along the way.
It's the positive aspect.
Yeah, and I really like that because it makes it. It's I always laugh because when my husband and I go to do our taxes, we always make it a date because since you have to do your taxes, you might as well make it fun. And that's the same kind of thing where you're going and making it pleasant so that person has a good feeling about that. And even another idea possibly is then to have the cap there at the end so that, did you have a cap waiting for at the time? Okay.
No, we just walked out both together with our military buzz cut.
Your military buzz cut. Oh, by the way, in fact, I wanted to ask you because you mentioned, the, cancer as a partner, obviously Cancer for Two.
Yes.
Tell us about that book.
Well,
and it's one I know that you wrote.
I wrote this because a lot of people want to know what's going to happen. They need some sort of scenario. I know that when she was first diagnosed, I always say when she was first
part of your life, it is we.
Well, when she was first diagnosed, the first big question was, what's going to happen? Is she going to need surgery? Is she going to have chemo? Is she going to lose her hair? You hear about all these things, but you don't really know how it all plays together. And so I thought, I'm going to write the detailed description, a very detailed description of everything we went through, in order to give somebody at least a scenario until they find out what their own scenario is going to be. And people think that this book, since it's about cancer, is like a big bummer or a downer. It's really funny. People can't believe how funny this is. I mean, the mohawk thing is just one small example of how we did humor. We were laughing, not because of the diagnosis, obviously, but as soon as we got home, Chris, my wife, got on the phone with her brother, and he immediately started to apologize about when he broke her finger dragging her in a wagon when she was 3 years old.
He's thinking that caused the cancer. Well, how people go through that, right?
And she said, that's when the cancer started. So already we were laughing about things about the diagnosis because there's nothing funny about cancer, but there's a lot of humor in the situations you find yourself in. And that's where you need to focus your attention, is where in the humorous situations you're in. Because humor doesn't change anything, but you feel better.
Yeah, it gives you an outlook. And again, that is healing in itself, is being positive and, having good humor versus being negative and on a downer. So that book kind of gives you scenarios and good ways to handle, again, like doing the mohawk.
Doing the mohawk. She got a hat at a hat party.
Hats.
Nothing wrong with your cats.
No,
Nothing wrong with your cats.
We have hat parties. It's okay.
But this hat was like a Carmen Miranda hat, and it had a big plastic fruit piled up about this high, and she wore it to Costco. She wore it to the doctor's office. She wore it while she was getting her chemo infusion, and everyone was having a good time with it because, if you don't laugh, it's just the alternative is just unthinkable, really.
Exactly.
You got to find things to laugh about.
Exactly. And when I think of, again, I think the most physical aspect that people outwardly see when you go through cancer therapy is the loss of hair.
Yeah.
And I got a question which I've always wondered, does it grow back?
Yes.
Okay. Because I've always wondered, I'm not, sure, because people go through this and then you know, you always hear people lose their hair, and then I've heard of people saying that they've never gotten their hair back. So I'm not.
It does grow back, and sometimes it grows back curly. Sometimes
curly.
a curly person, a person that had curly hair at first, it'll grow back straight. Sometimes it'll come back a different color. Sometimes it'll come back thicker, sometimes thinner. You just never know, but it comes back.
So
it does come back.
It's not a
temporary.
permanent. I think when I was younger, when I was, you know, quite young, I always thought once you lost it, it was gone forever. But this is just really part of the medical process.
Yes.
And it's not, so that's a positive spin too, which is it's just for now, and after the therapy is over, or as the therapy continues, your hair will continue growing.
That's right. And if you started out with long hair like yours, and then you lose it all, then it grows back, and you can try it in all kinds of shorter styles until it gets back to
Exactly. So again,
Another positive
that
aspect.
gives
That's right.
a positive aspect. So what you both are telling me is, I mean, what you do is try to take a situation that in no way can be, you know, happy, and with the caps, you know, provide a degree of happiness for people
And comfort.
And
Happiness, comfort, joy.
You can't overestimate or overstate the importance of feeling good about yourself, and these hats do a tremendous amount. There is a little basket of hats in the clinic where my wife gets her infusion. She still has some maintenance infusions that she has to have. So we go there every other month, and there's always a basket of Knots of Love caps, and everyone is always going through them, and the looks on the faces of the patients that are going through them is, I mean, that's something that's too bad that you can't see that, because it just warms your heart.
So now, do you go into the hospitals and provide? Do you have someone go in there and just provide caps?
Well, I try to deliver them locally to as many hospitals and oncologist offices that I can. Obviously, we have so many across the country that someday it's my dream that to go into every single one and put a name, face with the name. But for now, I do mostly shipping, and I have a wonderful company that underwrites my shipping costs, Arbatech, every month, and I wouldn't be able to do it without them.
So and then this is done throughout the country, wherever. So
and Canada.
So anybody in our audience who knows somebody who is going through this tremendous process of chemotherapy and radiation might want to be aware of Knots of Love and what kind of joy it can bring to your loved one. I think that's really important, and
Absolutely.
because what we have to deal with here is, again, keeping that person happy and keeping their self-esteem up, so they can continue to go through, as you say, the process in a positive way. So we only have a few minutes left, and what I'd like, and I know you look at you're so moved by that. That's great. I would like to know if you had some words for families on how to get through this, and you have words for anybody that, you know, who has lost their hair. Give us some thoughts.
I have two things, really important. The first one is to laugh. Find things to laugh about, and it doesn't have to be something you do that's funny. Some people just aren't funny. Rent funny movies, watch funny TV shows. There's a million things you can do. So that's very, very important. And one thing I discovered, or I learned from a humor expert, is that when you laugh out loud, even if it's a fake laugh, you feel better. It does the same benefits as when you laugh about something that's really funny. Yes. So that's one thing. The other thing is to look forward to something. It doesn't have to be anything extravagant, but give yourself something to look forward to. It helps you take your mind off of the situation. My wife and I looked forward to going to Tahiti, and it got us through her chemo. Now, it doesn't have to be anything that exotic. Make a big deal out of your favorite TV show, okay? Light some candles, make some popcorn, you know, cuddle up on the couch, the whole family can join in, whatever it is. You look forward to your show on Tuesday night or whatever it is, and you can look forward to it all week long.
We've got 30 seconds.
From Knots of Love, we need more caps. The need is so great. So if anyone knits and crochets, go to our website, knotsoflove.org, and we have cap starter kits, has everything you need to get started to make a cap, and send me your caps. As soon as I receive the caps, there's such a need, they get shipped out almost within 24 hours, no doubt about it.
Gotta go. That is great. Knots of Love and Cancer for Two. This is Gail Pereira with Joy in Our Town. Thanks for joining us today.